Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3. J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by our own Ron Bertel from the County Auditor's Office. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Thank you, Your Honor. You'll all bow with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. I thank you that this court sees the need to begin these proceedings by seeking your presence and guidance, and together we ask for that now. Thank you for your provision and protection that we have received until today, individually and for Tarrant County, and we ask that you continue your gracious and merciful favor. As the needs of the day are presented, we ask that your wisdom be clearly seen and heard by these officials who you have placed in a position of authority. Open the eyes of their heart so they may unmistakably know your will, and grant them a spirit of boldness to enact your will. May they serve with grace and humility to protect and defend your people, which is why you have placed them in these positions. Bless them for serving. In Galatians, your word says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such thing there is no law. May we all strive to abound in these in all of our actions, that your grace and mercy will be shared with others. And we ask all these things through our mediator and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ron. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one announcement as it relates to the agenda this morning. That is under proclamations and resolutions, which will be 6B. We're going to ask that we hold that particular item for 1 week. Also, members of the Court, just to tell you how we're going to proceed this morning, we have one presentation that we'll be making under the proclamations, and when we get to that point, we'll begin that presentation. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of March the 27th.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. As Mr. Manius mentioned, we are going to recognize some individuals this morning, and as we get started, I would remind the court that back in 2001, and I guess it was early in 2001, Gary Terry from Southwestern Bell, or I guess maybe AT&T by that time, came and talked with the court about the possibility of us placing AEDs in all of our buildings. And he had, had the experience in the Austin airport that was seen really all over the state, and I think all over the country as a result of that. And then again, at his request and with the approval of this court, we made the decision to place AEDs in the different buildings, in the different county buildings. And so the presentation that we have today is, I think, something that we can all be very proud that we did. In fact, I even talked with Gary and told him that as a result of that, someone's life had been saved. And so at this time, Mr. Manius, do you want to?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. As the judge indicated, today we're really here to recognize some real heroes that are county employees of an event that occurred on March 5th of this year. The two employees with the Sheriff's Department, and it just goes to show the forward-looking planning that this county and this Commissioner's Court did when they made a determination to put the AEDs in all of our buildings. And we've been able to take those AEDs and to actually expand the number of them, not only in our buildings but also in our patrol vehicles, to make sure that they're available when they're needed, and they were needed at this time. So what I would like to do now is introduce Sheriff Anderson and ask that he come forward. The sheriff is going to also be bringing up several different individuals, not only the officers, but representatives from MedStar, from the American Heart Association, and also from the AED company. So, Dee, thank you for coming.
Thank you, and thank you, Your Honor, Commissioners, for this time. I think, as GK indicated, we throw that word around, heroes, a lot about sports figures and people who may not meet the definition. I think today you're going to meet some people that truly meet that definition. As Mr. Mania said, this started on March the 5th when Mr. Marion Amick Jr. was doing what thousands of people do for the county each year. He was reporting for jury duty. He reported to the Tim Curry Justice Center, was working his way through the security system, and at that point collapsed. By all accounts, people who were there, before he ever hit the floor, he was clinically dead. There was no respiration. There was no heartbeat. As our people are trained to do, they jumped into action, and what happened from then on is the subject of why we're here today, the heroic actions of the people that actually, truly, without any exaggeration at all, saved a life. We have a video clip that was done on the news that kind of brings it in now. As before we start the clip, let me say that the surveillance camera that you see is a fixed position camera. It in no way moves or is able to show it, but you do get a very, very clear sense of what goes on. So if you'll watch a short video, then we'll get on with the presentation.
County man suffers a medical A Tarrant County man suffers a medical condition and a medical emergency. It all happened this morning, and the life-saving response was all caught on camera. That man could not have been in a better place when it happened.
And tonight, 2 county sheriff's deputies are being hailed as heroes for saving his life. Jason Allen has the story and the video you'll see only on CBS 11.
It was like any other busy Monday morning at the Curry Criminal Justice Center in Fort Worth. Jurors piled through the doorway to wait in a security line. Marion Amick was one of them. That's him with a bag in his hand, taking keys out of his pocket. And then in the next second, Amick started teetering and he collapsed.
Their first look at the gentleman who had fallen down was that he was unconscious, his eyes were open, his pupils were fixed. That's every look of a dead body.
At just 47 years old, Marion Amick's heart had stopped. The same security camera that caught his fall, though, also caught the Tarrant County Sheriff's employees who weren't ready to let him go. After assessing Amick's condition, Lieutenant Floyd Heckman started CPR. He compressed Amick's chest over and over and over. And just a few feet away on the wall was an automated defibrillator. Sergeant Jerry Brown grabbed it and essentially shocked Amick back to life.
He said he woke up and he said, I couldn't figure out why all those people were looking at me.
Amick's mother, Wanda Shelton, said her son, who appeared dead, was awake and talking when he left the courthouse.
I think they did a very good job, and I'm just thankful. Thank God he is there.
And what the sheriff's employees could have never known is the man they saved keeps people safe. The man friends call Junior is a Marine and leads security for more than 30 schools in the Irving ISD.
Amick is staying in the hospital overnight, but his family said he's in good spirits. You'd never know anything happened to him. They said his reaction to it all, heck of a way to get out of jury duty. Fort Worth, Jason Allen, CBS 11 News.
The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office says the 2 supervisors involved in the incident this morning will likely be recommended for life-saving awards from the county.
And that is so true. They have been recommended. They will be awarded at our awards banquet later this month with their life-saving awards. But today we're here to have some other people who insisted on honoring them, and I felt like this was the appropriate setting to do that. We're going to have several honors, so if you will, in the interest of time, hold your applause. We'll give everybody a big round of applause at the end. But first, could I have Lieutenant Floyd Heckman and Sergeant Jerry Brown come forward, please? From the Cardiac Science Corporation, we have Mr. Clark Hood, who's here to make a presentation to these 2 gentlemen. Mr. Hood, if you don't mind coming forward.
Morning. My name is Clark Hood, Vice President of Sales for Cardiac Science. We're the manufacturer of the portable AEDs that were implemented about 11 years ago. I was involved in that process. I'm a Dallas-Fort Worth resident, so I'm excited to be here. There's a lot of hard work that went into this program over the last 11 years, and today is a culmination of that work and that effort by everybody. And I'm extremely appreciative to be here to celebrate and also give thanks to these two individuals that saved a life last month. So on behalf of Cardiac Science, this is a certificate of heartfelt thanks presented to Lieutenant Floyd Heckman and Sergeant Jerry Brown for giving someone another chance on March 5th, 2012. Congratulations on your exemplary service in the field of community defibrillation, and it's signed by our President and CEO, Dave Marver from Cardiac Science.
Mr. Hood and Cardiac Science have also been kind enough to bring certificates and some awards for the people who actually assisted Floyd and Jerry on that day. We had a lot of people managing crowds and escorting the stretcher in and out and doing things, but in the interest of time, that will be done at a later date. Next, we have Dr. Jeff Beeson from MedStar, I believe, is going to come up. He has a presentation from MedStar.
Thank you, folks. It's honestly a rewarding opportunity to be here in front of you and recognize as an EMS physician and the medical director for the system, MedStar system here in Fort Worth, that the work that was done prior to what we all think is traditionally emergency medical services arrival. Obviously, on the morning of the 5th of March there at 8:48 when Mr. Amick collapsed, our notification center was almost 30 seconds after he initially collapsed. The first call to 911 came. And so if you think about the time frame of our response, the first medical provider was on scene 6 minutes after his collapse. Of course, that was 2 minutes after the officers got his heart started again. So it's kind of an honor to recognize truly the heroes who did the job before we got there. Statistically, we know that every minute the heart is not pumping blood decreases the chance of survival by 10%. So at 6 minutes when we arrived, if his heart wouldn't already pumping again, we would already be at a 40% chance of survival. And it's not just returning him to his family, but also you guys are very concerned with returning a taxpayer to his job. So we're proud that they did that. So I'd obviously like to recognize the officers also.
That's not really our top priority.
So for Sergeant Jerry Brown and for Lieutenant Floyd Heckman, this is from the Executive Director, Doug Hooten, and members of the MedStar family. On March 5th, 2012, the officers distinguished themselves through meritorious services, earning Lifesavers Award. As the juror entered the Tarrant County Justice Center, suffered a cardiac arrest. They performed CPR. Co-workers brought an automatic external defibrillator to the patient's side. The actions contributed to the patient surviving this event, and through the actions, we, as the EMS system in Tarrant County, would like to recognize them for their award this day, April 3rd day, 2012. Thank you, sir.
Our next presenter is from the American Heart Association. Ms. Catherine Bashaw is here, and she has something to award as well.
Thank you. I'm the Communications Director for the American Heart Association, and as you know, cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of adults in America and the #2 for children. And we reserve the Heart Saver Award for people who go above and beyond and step in when a life needs to be saved despite the unknown outcome or the ramifications of their actions and their efforts. They display heroic efforts. And so we want to present the Heart Saver Award to Lieutenant Heckman and Jerry Brown. Thank you both for your service and for supporting the mission.
This has been truly a great morning. These humble gentlemen are requesting not to have to make a public speech, and we're going to honor that. I don't think I'll let them off that easy at the awards banquet, but I will today. We do have one more guest, I believe, that wanted to come in and express appreciation. If we could just bear with me one moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marion Meek Jr., our survivor.
Thank you very much. My name is Marion Amick, and I wouldn't be here today without the timely assistance of the gentlemen that's standing behind me, Lieutenant Heckman and Sergeant Brown. Words fail at a time like this. I can't express adequately enough just how much it means to me that they were there. Without a doubt, there's no doubt in my mind they saved my life that day. And it's nice to know that you have gentlemen working for you and working for this county that take their job seriously and take their training seriously. And I just wanted to publicly say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart and my family's heart. Thank you.
You may recognize from TV, Mr. Meek's mother is here. Would you stand, ma'am? Ma'am, would you stand up? Ms. Meek's mother is here. I, again, appreciate your forbearance and your time to do what I think is an honor that is richly deserved, and I know you'll probably have a comment or two from some of you that you like to make.
No doubt.
Gentlemen, we cannot thank you enough. I know that you've indicated maybe you don't want to speak, but we truly appreciate it. I mean, this is what it's all about. It's about serving the citizens. It's about helping the citizens. It's about doing what I know you've been trained to do, and this is what really makes these days such great days in Tarrant County, is the employees and folks like you who will really step out and do what's necessary. We just can't thank you enough.
Very proud of both of you. Thank you. I'm sure that this entire court appreciates the way you have represented not only Tarrant County, but the public safety profession. Your training, your ability to just kick into action just like that and do the right things have not only saved a life, they have brought credit upon yourselves and your department and your colleagues. JD and I are the only ones that were around on this bench back in 2001. I wasn't on the bench at the time, but I was very, very close to the process. And I'm sure we remember, I do.
Well, I was here too.
Really? Excuse me. I thought you were much younger than that.
Actually, I think you and I were the ones on the bench.
Already said I wasn't on the bench, Judge. This is my soliloquy. We remember the process that ended in adding the automatic defibrillators to county buildings and the training process that our employees went through in order to learn to operate them properly. You have proven that that was a wise investment of not only county dollars, but county time. And we thank you, and I'm sure the citizens of Tarrant County thank you from the bottoms of our hearts.
Your Honor, Commissioners, thank you very much for taking the time to do this, and thanks to all of our guests who took time out of their days to come down. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sheriff. Awesome. That truly is what it's all about. All right. At this time, we'll do our employee recognition for the month of April. Again, this is a very proud time, in a time that I enjoy very much every month, because it is an opportunity to recognize the employees who really do make this such a great place to work and to live and to raise a family. And I truly, we've just recognized too, we have thousands of great employees who I think every day come to work looking for ways to serve the citizens. We've seen an example here. But I think every day folks that work for us try to find ways to serve the citizens. Maybe not in quite as a dramatic way as this, but again, it's a lot of those subtle things that you do that really, I think, make this a great place to work and to live. So and this is a particularly difficult month with pronunciations. So I have never said this more meaningfully. If you hear your name and it sounds like your name, or you kind of in that same category, would you please stand up? Because
and y'all please forgive him.
That's right, because I'm going to tell you some of these names are tough. We're going to begin with the 5-year. So stand up as I call your name. Remain standing until we get to the end of that group, and then we'll recognize you for your service. Michelle Carter Geese, Sheriff Confinement. Chad Edwards, Facility Management. Erika Farrell, CSCD. Johnny Gilbert, Constable, Precinct 3.
That was Erica.
Well, I'll be glad to let you continue down the list here in a minute. Haley Goff, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. Charles Holland, Sheriff, Courtesy Patrol. Katie Lancart, CSCD. Lee Langston, Sheriff, Confinement. Kimala Ledbetter, Public Health. Diana Lee, Purchasing. William Marks, Juvenile Services. Ruben Martinez, Sheriff, Confinement. Kirsten McMurtry, Sheriff, Confinement. I'll labor on those and then they're not here. Wait till some of these ones that are coming soon. Kevin Morgan, Sheriff, Confinement. Catherine Omarco, Domestic Relations. Demoro Pena, Transportation Services. Betsy Sloanacre, Public Health. Mindy Smith, CSCD. Toya Stokes, Sheriff, Confinement. Danny Sester, District Attorney's Office. William Walker, Medical Examiner's Office. Thomas Wall, Sheriff, Confinement. These are our 5-year employees. Let's give them a hand. I'll get seated. Thank you. Now for our 10-year employees. Joe Agyon, Information Technology. Brianna Kanzler, Human Resources. Linda Collins, Criminal Court Support. David Daniels, CSCD. Florente Estolano, Sheriff Confinement. Eddie Farrell, Sheriff Confinement. Crystal Zavala Jarol, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 5. Jessica Gray, District Clerk. Boylyn Hampton, Elections. Matthew Hayden, Sheriff Courts. Judge Jerry Hennigan, 324th District Court. Andre Nguyen Hussey.
Good try.
Would you like to give that a shot? You're right. Come back in 5 years and we'll try that again. Sheriff Confinement.
That's good. I'm glad it's you instead of me. It's a Facebook moment.
David Pretty, Sheriff Confinement. Leanne Swan, District Clerk. Rashia Weathersby, Sheriff Bond Desk. I think some of these people get it by where I tell them that they're working. These are our 10-year employees. Let's give them a big hand. And a special request for David Strohmile, Sheriff Confinement. You guys got to keep me watching here. Now for our 15-year employees. Angela Bashahi, Sheriff Confinement. Diana Blanco, Tax Office. Carol Katz, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4. David Denise, Constable, Precinct 5. Pamela George, Juvenile Services. Amber Haltom, Information Technology. Todd Mateja, Juvenile Services. Alana Minton, District Attorney's Office. Sela Kuhumar. Okay, you're going to get to pronounce this one. Yeah, that's it. You did a good job with that. Sheriff Confinement. Andrea Smith, Sheriff Confinement. Mark Smith, Sheriff Courts. I see you laughing out there, Mary Louise. Janie Sparkman, Information Technology. Phyllis Tonimon, Information Technology. Brenda Torres, District Clerk. These are our 15-year employees. Let's give them. Now for our 20-year employees. Lisa Adams, District Clerk. David Curl, District Attorney's Office. Dominic Del Bosque, Sheriff Warrants. Deoncia Garcin, Constable Precinct. Okay, go ahead. She got it right? She got it right? You did a good job. Constable Precinct 5. Lisa Love, Human Services. Delbert Martinez, Sheriff Criminal Investigations. Susan Powell, Public Health. Michael Thompson, Sheriff Bond Desk. Jose Vega, CSCD, and William Wilkerson, Sheriff, South Patrol. These are our 20-year employees. Now for our, y'all could be seated, now for our 25-year employees, I'm calling and talking with them. Many of these folks I have called and talked with 5 years ago when they were celebrating their 20-year anniversary. So the first is Paul Alexander, 25 years with Public Health. Is Paul here? Arlene. Excuse me, now I realize what I've done. Normally I put in brackets what they go by. And what happened is that you were Arlene Paul at the 20-year mark. And she is now married and is now Arlene Alexander. I apologize. She's with the Public Health and has been there for 25 years. She started out in 1972 in the old courthouse, and then in 1983 she left for a while, but then came back in 1991 and to personnel and worked there for a couple of years before she moved to the Public Health and is now the administrative assistant in the laboratory. When I asked her what happened since the last time we had talked, she said she'd gotten married, in fact, on St. Patrick's Day a year ago. And that she, as she had kind of watched over the last 5 years, that she'd been very excited about the renovation in the clock tower and actually talked about the fact that I guess back in 76 or 77, she had gone up in the clock tower at least up to the clock level. I think she had been with some other folks that went a little bit higher, but the ladder looked a little rickety, too rickety for her. And I remember that old ladder, and you were wise probably in not heading up that. Again, Arlene, thank you very, very much for the 25 years you spent with Tarrant County. Next is Randy Bannister, 25 years with the 371st District Court. I guess has been there with Judge Westfall since 07. Had spent all of the time prior to that with the Sheriff's Office and actually started out in confinement. When I asked him about his more memorable moments at the 20-year mark, he said it was just a lot of the good people he had worked with. When I'd ask him what's kind of happened in the last 5 years, he said, you know, I'm still in the same court. I still love my job. Got a daughter now in Stephen F. Austin. And his son, is your son here with you today? His son Colby last year went to the Special Olympic World Games in Greece, where he competed in gymnastics. He brought home 1 gold, 2 silver, and a bronze medal. And so I know he was very, very proud of his son in that, and we are too. Is your wife Rhonda with you today? She wasn't able to make it either. Well, she's worked with the county for 28 years and is in Zane Hilger's office out in Precinct 3 in the constable's office. So again, Randy, we want to thank you very much for your 25 years with Tarrant County. Next is Sue Caldwell with the tax office, been here for 25 years. Sue started out at, I guess, the First National Bank in Fort Worth, and then moved over, was a manager, came to the county and was manager of the property tax area. And then, I guess, about 5-6 years ago, Betsy asked you to set up the internal audit area for the tax office, and so she set it up and has been working there. When I asked her, again, 5 years ago what she liked most, it was the fact that she had really had fun working in the tax office, working with Betsy. Just kind of as a side note, her brother and his wife, we used to do seminars for physicians when I was in my CPA life. And we'd go skiing together every year, and we'd do seminars, and we'd get to deduct the trip because we would do the seminars. It was an educational endeavor. Sure. And we worked hard at that. So I knew her brother through the ski trips. She said she's had an opportunity to work for 3 tax assessors and has really enjoyed all 3 of them. I asked her again if she could have a memorable moment, one of those things. She says, I remember walking out of my office one time and seeing this bat walking down the hall with people behind it with a bag and a garbage trying to catch the thing. She said the last 5 years have been challenging as she set up that internal area and worked in that internal audit area, but it's something that she's really enjoyed doing. She said, I really enjoyed participating and watching the change in the county and really for what she thought and feels like is the betterment of the county. Sue, we appreciate very much the 25 years you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you. Next is Chuck Cox, Precinct 4 Maintenance for 25 years. There's Chuck back in the back there. Started out in Precinct 4 as an Operator 1, been there ever since, and now is Operator 4. In fact, I guess when I caught him yesterday, he was on a piece of equipment doing some blade work out on one of the county roads. When I asked him about the more memorable events, or memorable times, he talked about some of the major projects that he did, working on the Cowboy Stadium, the Cats Field, and recently on Harley Street. And when I asked him what he liked most, he said it was the people that he had a chance to work with. He said, you know, the hours are good. The ability to work outside is something that he had always looked forward to. He said, in the 25 years that I've worked with the county, I have never dreaded coming to work. That he's enjoyed every day, some more than others, but that he's enjoyed each day that he's had a chance to come and work. He said every day is just a little bit different. Chuck, we thank you very much for the 25 years you've given to Tarrant County. Next is Jackie Dixon, 25 years with the tax office. There's Jackie. Started out, I guess, downtown, then was in North and worked there for about 3 months, then moved out to Northwest and was out at Northwest for 17 years. When we talked to her back at the 20-year mark, she was at that time in Southwest tax office, but now she said, I'm back home. She said, I'm back home in Northwest, and that I really, really enjoy that. She said, I basically watched and gotten, you know, and watched my kids grow up here. She said, I'm reading from some comments that she wrote. She said, when I first started, I had a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old, and that she would get up every morning at around 4:30 so that she could get everybody dressed and fed and then get everyone to work. She said, it's nice. She said, the kids have grown up now. It's nice to be able to sleep later, but she said, now I have 3 grandsons from those 2 kids. And she said, those are the heart, you know, those are really the pride and joy that she has. She's very glad to be able to be back at Northwest. She said, I've enjoyed everywhere, but she said, I had a great deal of respect for the commissioner, where she is now. She said, I started out in Northwest, and I have known J.D. forever, and I've really had a great deal of respect.
She lives next door to my son and his family out on Silver Creek, off of Silver Creek Road.
She also said that she'd been very fortunate over the 25 years to have worked for 3 tax assessor collectors, and that it's something that she was very proud of, that she's really enjoyed her time with Tarrant County. And Jackie, we appreciate very much the 25 years you've given us. Thank you very much. Next is Tim Farnes, but I think Tim is on vacation. Tim's getting ready to retire. He's retiring on April the 16th, and so if you see him, if you have a chance to see him over the next couple of weeks, thank him for the 25 years that he's given to Tarrant County. Next is Don Gallagher, 25 years. There's Don. Is the CDC2 court coordinator. I see the judge over there, Judge Salvance over there. You know, Don is one of about 4 that we brought forward from March. When we moved our time in March, we fell in the middle of spring break. And for a couple of folks, this is the second time this has happened. And I think Don is the second time. Suzanne Mckenzie was another one who we missed them at 20 years because we had moved to that second week. And so I just said, well, anybody who can't make it in March, we're going to move them forward to April this time. Dawn actually started out in the probation department in bookkeeping, doing the mail there. Then got moved over to Miller Street as the coordinator for specialized programs. From there, went to the district clerk's office. I guess Tom Hughes was over there at that point in time, and then became a manager while in that department under our now district clerk Tom Wilder. And then in 2006 went to Judge Salvant's court as a court coordinator. When I asked her about the more memorable moments, she said, the lot shooting, she says, in fact, I was pregnant at the time with our daughter, who is now 19. So time really goes by fast. She said, I've loved the opportunities that Tarrant County's presented, the benefits, and the people she's had a chance to work with in the past, as well as the ones that she's getting to work with now. She said the years have really flown by, but working in that court has been very rewarding. She said, I love not only the folks, the county that I get to work with, but also the attorneys that come in and out of that court that I've had a chance to work with. Dawn, thank you very much for the 25 years. Next is Tammy Gunner, 25 years, the district clerk's office. Now, she started out in the child support area in, I guess, May of 1985. Quit for 10 months to stay at home with her son, and then came back to the child support area. In 1998, she went to work for the district clerk, and I guess is now a trust accountant in the district clerk's area. When I asked about a more memorable moment, she talked about a kick the can event that Chip Moody and Tom Hughes were at, and I think you had to wear a jail jumpsuit at that particular event. I think we all remember Chip Moody from Channel 8, well, really from Channel, he was at a couple of ones, Channel 5 and Channel 8, but passed away with cancer. When I asked her what she liked most, she said the friends that she's had a chance to make. She said, I love the people that she's had a chance to work with. She said, I've kind of grown up with the county. She said, I started work here when I was 19, and it just felt like I've kind of grown up. She's raised 2 children here with the county. And so I tell you what, Tammy, we very, very much appreciate the 25 years you've given us. Thank you. Next, and I'm not sure he was going to be able to make it, Henry Manrique, Transportation Services, 30 years with the county. But he's not able to make that today. And he's getting ready to retire at the end of May. Next is Dwayne McDowell, 25 years facility management. He's in the photo lab. Started off in the sheriff's department and as a reserve officer, was a reserve officer for actually 14 years. When the photo lab moved to facilities, after about 5 years, he's been in that particular area from that time forward. He now does a lot of work for the DA's office as far as getting photos and stuff prepared. When I asked him what he liked most, he talked about he loved photography, and he just loves where he was at that particular time. He said, I love being with Tarrant County. And I called him, I guess it was Saturday when we talked. I tried to get a hold of him off and on Thursday and Friday. 20 years, or at the 20-year time, he said, I love being here, but let me tell you what, if I win the lottery, you'll be the first one I call. Well, when I talked with him Saturday, I said, because I'm talking with you and you hadn't called me, I'm assuming you weren't one of the winners. And he wasn't, and so he's still here working. He said, when I asked him what had happened over the last 5 years, he said, we've gotten some new equipment and that it has really helped a lot in doing his job. He did say that over about 4 years ago, he lost his twin brother. My dad was a twin. And I remember after he passed away talking with his twin brother and him telling me what a feeling it left, kind of what an emptiness it left in his life. And so I feel for what you've gone through over the last 4 years, and I know it's had to have been tough. As I said earlier, he still hadn't won the lottery, so he and I talked about the fact that we'll probably talk again in 5 years, hopefully. So, Dwayne, thank you very much for your 25 years. Next is Suzanne Mckenzie, the Auditor's Office, 25 years. As I said earlier, we missed it the 20 years ago, so when she first came to the county, she was working for Jim Causey. In fact, she had actually worked with him over at MHMR. When she came in 1987, the county had no general ledger. It was basically cash receipts and disbursements out of over 100 different accounts. Wow. She's always had the same position. When I asked her what she liked about it, she said it was always challenging and that there were great people working with the county. When I asked her what she liked least about it, it was the politics. And that sometimes politics did not allow for it being done maybe the most effective and efficient way. I understand that. Since the last time and I actually had talked with her 20 years ago, but since last we talked, she said that her daughter is waiting to hear from either the University of Georgia or Auburn, that she's been accepted in a lot of places, but she's kind of holding out for somewhere in the South, good SEC schools.
We'll talk about that later.
We're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
When Jack comes up here.
So she said, so therefore she's going to be an empty nester, and I asked her what she thought about that. She says, that's not such a bad thing, I don't think. She said, still having new challenges every day, and I know some of the things that as she goes through and prepares our CAFR, which is basically our financial statements for the year, there are always new challenges there. She said, I continue to be impressed with the folks that I have a chance to work with in the county and how personally they take their jobs and how well they try to serve not only in their role as employees of Tarrant County, but also the citizens of Tarrant County. Suzanne, thank you very, very much for your 25 years. Next is Carla Phelps, 25 years. There she is. She's now working for Judge Rabel. Judge Rabel is here this morning. Started out in the county clerk's office where she'd worked for about 10 years, and then she moved over and worked for Judge Kice, began working for Judge Kice in 1991. When I asked her about memorable moments, it was the condemnation of some of the land surrounding, I guess, under the ballpark. When I asked her, kind of what had happened since last we talked, she said, obviously, she said, I can't believe, as many of these folks say, that 5 years have gone by so quickly. She said she's working as Judge Rabel's now court coordinator. She said, I'm lucky to be in the place for so long and to have seen all the changes that have gone on in the county. She never expected to be here 25 years, as so many people say when I first talked with them. She said, when I started, I remember writing in books that literally went back to 1895. And to see those kind of changes and, again, to look at the history that we maintain, and I say this all along when I try to explain what the county does, we record the history of what goes on in this county. It's done in the county clerk's office, it's done in the district clerks, it's done in each one of the courts. And it's done with professionalism and with folks who take their job very seriously. And I think as folks write in those books, as they do those things, they recognize that over 100 years from now, somebody may be reading what they're putting in that history. And I think everyone takes that very seriously as we go about doing that. And so, Carla, we appreciate very much the time you've spent and the time that you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you. Next is Ronnie Reddick, 25 years with the Medical Examiner's Office. He is an autopsy technician. Started out when Dr. Goetz was the medical examiner. when he started, he said there was only one station, and now they have 6. He said everyone there was like a big family. When I asked him what had happened kind of over the last 5 years, he said, well, I'm still in the same area that I was in. Everything seems to be getting busier. We have more and more cases. He said, I'm still working, and I'm still having a good time. And we appreciate that very much, Ronnie, and appreciate your 25 years of service. Next is Ann Sprier, 25 years with the 233rd District Court. Started in CCL number 1 with Judge Brigham, and then it became the 233rd, I guess, in 1989, and now since 1995 has been with Judge Harris. She said, I've had the opportunity to work for 2 great judges who made the job a lot of fun over the years. She recounted, and I had to go back and ask her because my notes are somewhat vague, and after 5 years I had forgotten exactly what all of them meant. But she said, Judge Brigham, we were going to go out to a ball game, and we had this meal planned, and Judge Brigham was supposed to have brought stuff, and everybody was supposed to have met out there, and we were going to eat. Well, at the end, Judge Brigham was late, and he had to call and say, well, I'll be there, but I'll be late. Well, they all decided to just go and have Mexican food before they went out to the ballpark. Well, he got out there, and there was no, and he said, where's the food? So he rode them forever throughout the ball game about the fact that they didn't bring the chicken. Judge Brigham had he was in a courtroom that had these old shutters on them where you could open the shutters and you could kind of look down Main Street. And every once in a while, he would kind of lean back in his chair during, while the court was going on, and he'd just open the window a little bit so he could look out. Well, they knew that he was going to do that, and they hung a rubber chicken in the window and just waited. And sure enough, one day he was sitting and he leaned back and he opened that up and he looked out that window and he started laughing so hard that he had to recess court and take some time to recollect himself. And they said they were just waiting. They knew it would happen. And they weren't going to, they just really kept it, and they were all just busting out laughing when that happened. When I asked her what had happened, she said, I can't believe that everything has gone by so fast. We kind of blended things together. She had gotten married, although as we got to talking about it, we think it happened right before. She knows it happened right before her 20th anniversary, that she's really enjoyed working here and the people that she's had a chance to work with. She said, and I think this goes all over the county, you get the job done, but you have fun doing it. And I think that's what it's all about. You get the job done, but you have fun doing it. And we appreciate very much, Luann, you getting the job done for these past 25 years. Thank you. Next is Al Woolers, 25 years, Sheriff's Department. He's in the 141st Court. Started in 1987 till 91 as a jailer, and then moved over to Judge Leonard's court in 91, and then Judge Berry, and then moved to Judge Wade's court. When I asked what had happened since the last time we talked, he said, I'm getting ready to retire at the end of April. I'm going to travel a little bit. And he said, and then I'm going to do whatever else just kind of comes to mind and I want to do. He said, I'm now working for Judge Chump, and has really enjoyed that. He said, I've seen personnel continue to change over the years, and he said it's been good. Things keep getting better, and he said this, and he told me this when we talked to him in 20 years. He said, I decided to make Tarrant County my second career. Al retired from the Army after 25 years in 1985, and then came to work for the county, and has now worked 25 years for the county. So, I think that says a lot for the individual, a lot for the two employers, 25 years each. That's great. Al, thank you very much for the 25 years. Now, our 30-year employee was Jerry Tetford. He is with Constable Precinct 6, but he was going to be on vacation this week, and so he was going to be out of town on the day and wouldn't be able to make it. So when you see Jerry, congratulate him and thank him for his 30 years of service. Again, let's give everybody a big round of applause. We got refreshments in 504C. Again, thank you very much. And we'll take a little recess here for a second. Second to receive and file items 6A and C. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval of consent agenda.
Second. Got a motion second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one item yet. We're requesting that the Court approve an exception to the county's travel policy for employees who attended the Honest Opportunity Probation with Enforcement Demonstration Field Experiment Orientation and Training in Hawaii.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Wayne.
Hi there.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Our
morning.
first item is to request that you receive and file the personnel agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is to request approval to participate in the Health Care Enhancement for Local Public Safety Retirees Act program, which is a benefit for retired public safety officers with the Tarrant County and District Retirement System available through the Public Employees Benefit Cooperative. Ooh, that's a mouthful. So it is requested that you allow us to our retirees to participate in this program. This law allows an eligible retired public safety officer to exclude from federal taxes up to $3,000 of their retirement benefits used for health and long-term care insurance. It is a pre-tax benefit, it is voluntary, and it will be coordinated between the TCDRS and the Public Benefits or Employee Benefits Cooperative, and is expected to roll out July 1st, 2012. And the acronym for that program is the HELPS program. So we are asking for your approval for this program.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Both those you are noting, Commissioner wrote down. Mr. Beecham.
Come on.
Morning.
You can give it up.
Sir?
Say something.
Congratulations.
I'm focused on women's gymnastics and track right now. Thank you. We have 3 items. Oh, my gosh.
Don't let the color speak for itself. Okay? Because whenever y'all get a championship, then I'll buy you dinner.
I'm going to get real hungry before that happens.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We do have 3 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for RFP number 2012-038. This is for radio advertisement campaign for the Public Health Department to recruit volunteers for Tarrant County Medical Reserve Corps. Recommendation will be toward to LKCM Radio, which is 95.9 The Ranch, in the amount of $14,148.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. I hear a lot of advertisement. They mostly refer it over to Dallas County. I'm hopeful that we're going to get some into the Tarrant County area.
This is a Fort Worth company. The ranch is.
But when they do that, if someone from the Tarrant County area calls, do they send them back over here, or do you know? It's probably going to be a Ms. Brewer question. Could you do that? Appreciate that. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is another bid award recommendation for bid number 2012-066. This is our annual contract for coal milling machine with an operator. Recommendation would be toward a per enterprise basis, selecting as our primary vendors Industrial Incorporated and Texop Construction.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our last item is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2012-068. This is our annual contract for standard highway and road signs for both transportation and the precincts. Recommendation will be toward a per-enterprise basis, selecting as our primary vendor Vulcan Signs, as our secondary vendor Custom Products Corporation.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Sheriff.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have but one item. We're requesting that the court approve the interlocal agreement with Parker County with our Auto Crimes Task Force. Sheriff Fowler and Parker County are a very active area for our Auto Crimes Task Force. For years now, they have been supplying us with a reserve deputy and at their expense. This year in the grant on February 12th, we were awarded another spot, and we're going to bring Parker County in on the grant at long last, overdue and well-deserved, and it is no fiscal impact for the county. It's all grant funded.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Sheriff, for your presentation this morning. Commissioner Wynn, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
I move for the approval of item J1A and B, please.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Appointments. Then we'll move on to the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
We back up one.
Do we have a bond?
Yes, you do. Request approval of the fire marshal's bond. It is in proper form.
So move.
Second. A motion is second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And I believe Mr. Renoir's mother passed away.
Right.
And so if we could, I would like to close the court today in her memory.
Right.
Do that today. Briefing items, Mr. Mayes?
Your Honor, we do not have any briefing items for the court this morning.
Okay.
I just want to make one quick announcement that Steve Townsend has been appointed as my Precinct Administrator to replace John Ed Robbins, who retired. Just wanted everybody to know that.
Congratulations.
Oh, he's over there. Do you move over there when you get that position?
This time we will recess our open meeting and proceed to close to discuss items exempted under sections 551, 071, 072, 074, 076, and 087.
Say something about the bailiff.
I knew I was going to do that with Arlene Alexander this morning when I put Paul in parentheses. And she stood up and said, yeah, well, you knew you were going to do it, and you did.
And I didn't know who you were talking about till you said Arlene Paul, because I've known her Arlene Paul forever.
Yeah, but her name was Paul.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that.
Having returned from our closed session, we'll now address the following items.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under the item in the District Attorney's Office regarding Frank Stewart, requesting authorization to have the county judge sign a settlement agreement and full release and authorize a payment of the sum of $15,000 to Frank Stewart and the Ward Law Firm. And requesting this authorization include authority for the auditor to issue the check without the claim first appearing on the list of claims.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. There being no further business, we will adjourn again in memory of Randy's mother.